Whether you keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? This is Jeremy Turgeon from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm robing and creeping it real. He's never prepared. He's never expecting the unexpected.
I think I'm speechless. I think you have officially made me speechless, Rob.
That's not good for
I
a podcast.
expect
You know
dancing.
that,
I do. Oh, I do. I expect dancing. I don't expect Rob from across the pond. That's what
Listen,
I was not expecting.
Just channeling my inner limey, you know.
Oof.
Oh, he's going to be
Well,
upset when I
at
say
least
that.
you look better than he does.
Listen now. Don't you insult my friend Limey.
No, it's
What's
okay.
up, man? How you doing?
We insult each other. I'm doing
That's
all
true.
right. Dude.
That's true.
How are you,
You got
man?
some tea in there? You got some tea in there, bud?
No, this is straight caffeine, bro. We went right for the coffee to get through this. It's been a long day.
It is 8 p.m. What are you doing?
I've already been up for 13 hours. It's been a long day.
Oh, Lordy.
Yep, but we're here. We're doing it. I'm excited. I don't know what's happening to my hair. It's messed up, but it's 13 hours of life. It's what we got.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. I was like, 13 hours. Let's see. It's like, what, 5 a.m. you got up?
Like 6. Yeah, about 6-ish. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah. That's I got up for work at like 6:30, 6:45. That's what time I get up every day, though.
Oh god. No, usually I'll sleep a little later, and today I was awake. Two different things. I was awake. I was not out of bed, but I was awake.
Yes.
At 6 something in the morning.
Okay.
But yeah, then it's pretty much just once I finally did get up, it's been go all day. But all good things. I don't know if you saw, I posted a Borneo lock that I was super excited to see.
Hell yes.
Yeah, super stoked about that. From that low expression white wall ocelot to that VPI striped ultra. So fingers crossed for that. That was exciting to see. And then paired up some ball pythons. I've got to pair up carpets. Actually, both of the carpets that I was pairing up this year, they're in shed right now. So I'm not pairing up carpets. And I was also staring very intently at gravid Amazon tree boas before coming up here. Just like trying to get a subliminal message from them as to when I could expect offspring. But the jury is still out.
Yeah, there's no... You're like, maybe. I don't know.
Right.
It's on their time. It's not on my time. It's on his time.
Which is fine. Which is all well and good. I'm just searching for a date range so I know if I should stay home from the rest of life or not.
Here's the deal. Plan a vacation where you have to go out of state for a weekend. That is when they'll be born.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so the crazy thing is, if that leopard litter is due in March, which if I remember correctly, it is due in March, I will be at March Tinley. So hopefully it's before March Tinley.
Oh no, it'll be as you're getting on your flight. It'll just be like
yeah. Or I'll go downstairs right before I leave and then find all of them when there's literally no more time to do anything, but I need to be getting in the car.
Yep.
But
that is how it goes.
Oof. Man.
Well, before we get too far into this, tonight's episode is brought to you by Black Box Cages. If you're looking for a new rack or enclosure, make sure that you hit them up. Quickest turnaround time in the game, top-notch enclosures. Absolutely love mine. You should get out, check them out. They're constantly innovating and putting up new things. They are making hide boxes. They've got protectors for your thermos or your heat panels so that the snakes can't get
Yes.
through the wire and pull it through the enclosure. Let me tell you, that's a lifesaver for my scrubs because they
Yeah.
are really bad about that. I have one in particular that before I got those, she would pull it out every day. Like I'd put it in and she'd pull it out that same evening, and it was driving me crazy. But not so much. It's much better. But check them out, Black Box Cages, blackboxcages.com. I think we still have a discount on there, right?
Yep. You can use code Reptile Talk and save a little bit on your next order with them, or all of your next orders, because who doesn't want more than one cage or rack to come in over the course of
Just
a year?
saying.
Just
Just saying.
just go buy some.
We love it. And we're super hyped to have on our guest this evening. She's done some really
Yes.
cool stuff. She's got some really cool snakes, and I think that her perspective is a little bit different than maybe some of the old heads that are on some of the podcasts and things. So I'm really excited to get her on. We got Abby, aka the curly haired keeper, as some of you may know her.
How's it going?
Doing pretty good. It is a little chilly out, but with the storm system that we just had come through, I've got a bunch of locks on stuff that I've got paired up, so I'm
Nice.
not going to complain.
See the bonus to Rob being cold,
Yes,
which doesn't take
exactly.
much. I found
The
out.
only benefit.
Rob's version of cold is much warmer than where I'm currently sitting inside right now.
I don't think I've ever been to Rob's house and been cold.
No,
Like,
Yeah.
no.
No. I think every
It's not
time
a
I've
thing.
been over to Rob's house, I've been like, I'm in a snake cage.
Yes.
Right?
Just-
Sweating the entire time I'm there. I'm like, this is
Right.
fun.
Just-
I'm having a great
Please.
time.
Don't
Yeah.
let my body touch my body. It's
Yeah.
so. Why is it so humid in here?
Rob's just
Meanwhile-
like in a sweatshirt, chilling.
I am in a sweatshirt right now, just chilling. My house is actually probably closer to that 70-degree mark right now, which is why I'm wearing a sweatshirt.
Oh man.
Mm.
Man. Rob, guess what our thermostat is at right now, Rob?
I don't want to know. It's gonna
Just
hurt my
take a
feelings.
guess.
I know.
No, just take a guess.
I'm gonna say 68.
68. Yeah, buddy.
Yep.
And we're nice and comfy, bro.
No. Comfortable. Oh. I could never. It's too much for me.
Oh man.
Well, Abby, thank you so much for coming on this evening. We really appreciate you taking the time and coming out here and being on with us. And I am excited to get into the episode. So for the people who may not know who you are, might not follow you on social media, how about can you give us either a recap or a abridged version of what has led you up to this point in your keeping career?
Yeah, so my keeping career has been very short. I just started keeping snakes specifically about 3 and change years ago. Started my first snake was in 2021. So yeah, just I've loved animals my entire life. I've kept a bunch of different kinds of animals my entire life, and started keeping bioactive with my first animal and really enjoyed it. It worked really well, and just kind of continued on with that as I started getting more and more snakes and different kinds of snakes. Yeah, it's so short. I haven't been keeping that long. So full disclosure, I truly don't know what I'm doing. I let my animals tell me what they need. So, but yeah, keeping big is kind of my thing. I keep big snakes in big enclosures and watch them do their thing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I think that for a lot of people who have been doing it a long time, it's easy for them to be like, I've done it this way. This is the way that it's always going to be done. And they don't think that things can be done differently. And also, I think that it's a great benefit to learn from your animals. And, ideally we should be making sure that we're staying within parameters of, temperature and all that jazz. But we can learn so much from just paying attention to the animals and seeing what they are needing and what they're doing, and we can learn so much more just from observing them and learning from them.
Yeah, like how they utilize the space is really fascinating to me because we have our biggest enclosure has a gradient from like it gets down to like 68 on the cool side at night and then up to 85, 87 on the like basking spot. And she uses every inch of, like, she just regulates how she needs, but she uses the entire space, even the cold side. It's really fascinating. I'm like, 68 is a cool side for a retic. That's interesting.
Well, I think that, a lot of people are kind of have pigeonholed themselves to be like, well, in Indonesia, I'm looking up the temperature right now and it says that it's 96 degrees outside. And it's like, okay, that is like 96 degrees, probably in some places got open sun. I'm sure that there are lots of places in the forest that are not sitting at 96 degrees right now, especially if you're close to water or if you're underneath a canopy or near a cave, which retics are known to do. It's like there's so much of a larger range of temperatures that these animals experience than, I set the thermostat to 95 and it's cool.
My retic's pushing. I don't understand.
Yeah. Right.
I'd be pushing too. Rob would be happy.
Rob would be very happy. Yeah.
I'd be content.
Yeah. Rob is that animal that never goes to the cool side, and you're just like, wow, what's are my parameters off? Like
Rob's the Euromastic that's just in like the 140 degree rock.
Yes.
Like this is
just laying on it.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that. That is me. I am him. When I went to Arizona with my mom several years ago now, it was like, I don't know, 96 degrees, but there's like no humidity there, so it didn't feel that hot. And then also it was kind of windy, and so we're going on this hike out to Horseshoe Bend. I see all these people like in t-shirts and they're chugging their water, and I'm there like in my hoodie with my hood up, and I'm like shivering a little. I'm like, it's too cold out here for me. And like after we got into the hike, I was like, okay, it's a little bit okay now, but I wore my hoodie the entire time there and back because it was just like, it does not register the same for me.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
It's terrible.
Oh man, it's okay, Rob. It's okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, but
Sure.
So you're saying that you see them go down over into those areas that are down into the 60s, and you know what it makes me think of? Jeremy, can you predict what I'm about to say? What that makes me think of with the cooler temperatures and the thing that I just mentioned?
Microclimates.
Yes, in the microclimates, but one microclimate in particular where someone might have a bad back. There's this episode with Brady Barr, who's like this herpetologist, and he's going to like try and find retics, and he heard that there's retics in this cave, and they're in water like up to their chest with bat guano in it because it's like this bat cave, and they find a retic in there and they grab it in the bat guano water, and it just turns around and bites the heck out of him, and he's like, I gotta get out of here, I got a bad bite. It's just,
I'm looking up the video, hang on.
it's peak television, okay? It's peak television is what it is. And but it makes you think of if these retics are spending time in those caves and those caverns. Have you ever gone to like I know there's a lot of caverns in PA and caves that you could go exploring.
Yep, in Oregon.
Cold
too.
in there.
Yeah, it gets really. I'm from Oregon. We used to go like down in the caves and stuff. It gets really cold. It gets really damp. So it's not only like lower temperature, it's also like misty and like really, really humid. So it feels colder than it is.
Yes, exactly. So
dude, hang on, wait. Sorry, I found the clip. Can we reference this clip, please? Because it's so worth it.
We're gonna get a copyright strike on this.
It's worth it. I'm telling you, it's worth it. Because Abby, have you ever seen this before?
I haven't. No.
Okay, so it's totally worth it.
It is worth it. I'll give him that.
Okay, let's see. Can we all see this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. So he's got the retic by the tail in the bat guano water.
Well, that was his first mistake.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, Jeremy, can you tell where it is? So, and he's like, I'm gonna get it out. It's in this crevice in the back over here. We got to try and get it out of here. And the bats are flying around. The water is dark.
Nasty.
It's some nasty water.
Oh, I can
Oh
smell
boy.
that video.
Oh
Right.
yeah. Oh yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, the head's coming out. The head's coming out."
Here we go.
Oh no,
Oh, it disappeared.
it disappeared, Jeremy.
It disappeared.
What happened?
Can't
It
see it anymore.
What? Oh
Bum,
no.
bum, bum.
Oh
It left us
no.
in suspense.
Yeah, YouTube
No.
was like, "This is the good part of the."
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Now leave you
That's
on
probably
read
what
for
they
this part.
Oh no, I don't know if it's gonna let me share it again.
It's
Dang it.
okay. Basically, he gets it comes back out. It bites him in the leg. It bites him in the back area. And it's a tough situation. I don't think we can hear the audio either, Jeremy.
The back, or does he bite him in the butt?
It bites him kind of in the butt and the leg. But the thing is, he's like in such of like a flurry of emotion. He's like, I got a bad back. He's trying to say he's got a bad bite. He's like, I got a bad bite. I got a bad back.
Well, I mean, probably now.
Yeah, now he does. So like anytime that I was at Nerd and I would get like bit by something, I'd be like, I got a bad back. I got a bad bite.
Oh man. Sorry, that was our minor deviation. Sorry. It's just it's just very funny.
Oh.
We'll send you the clip afterwards. It's gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Terrible. But I wish that we had like a temp gun reading inside that cave where they found that, because it couldn't have been, it couldn't have been over 75 degrees in that place.
I wouldn't imagine. Yeah.
No, there's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that snake was active.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it's like. If it was too cold, it wouldn't have probably had the wherewithal to bite you in the back.
Exactly.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So you've got a few different species. You've got your Colombian rainbow boa, right?
Yes, she was my first one. Except for I have a Brazilian rainbow. So I have an Epicurides and a Morris, and then I have 2 BIs, and the rest are retics in my scrub hybrid that I have. Yes. So yeah, my cranky little dude. I love him so much.
So what drew you to the rainbows first?
I had already set up a bioactive in advance, knowing I wanted to get a tropical species of some kind. So I went to a reptile expo, very, very typical first reptile buying experience for most of us. Went to an expo, met, the little tiny Colombian. She was adorable. She was like super chill, and was like, I like her. I'm going to bring her home. So I did.
Oh yeah.
So that's how she happened. Yeah. Yeah.
And then from there, you were looking at the imperators, or were you like straight for the?
Yeah, my second one was my BI, my VPIT plus Snow Twee was my second one. So I kind of made a leap.
Yeah.
A higher profile morph for a boa. And again, like I've gotten really, really lucky with the snakes that I have gotten in terms of them being incredibly tractable and, pretty much choice-based from the day I brought them home. So it's just kind of fed into the desire to explore some other species that generally aren't recommended as, like, oh, you've been keeping snakes for 6 months, go get a retic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, I was very fortunate. My first retic was Aries. He was the third snake that I got. And like, again, just very, very chill. So like everyone's warning me about all this stuff. And I'm like waiting for it, but it's not happening. So
yeah,
just very fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that people look at retics as kind of this I don't want to say like monolithic thing of like, they're gonna bite, they're gonna get giant and all this jazz. And it's like within that there are lots of individuals who are really laid back. I think of like when I was at Nerd, Jeremy Moo was the most like
Mhm.
chill, non-reactive snake. She was like better than most ball pythons that are there. Like literally you could just open up the enclosure and just scoop her up. She's so chill, so laid back, didn't care about anything. You could touch her face, you could touch her tail. She did not care about anything.
Anything.
And
Yeah.
so and then, there's that, and then there's like that giant ivory retic that wrapped up Gianni, and it's like she's on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I mean that's testament to like there is a variety of like character traits in
Yes.
these animals. It's like, you have to be prepared to kind of work through whatever shows up with your animal. Because Stella's like Moo, like our biggest girl. She could be in full blue, full tummy, like, and you can literally just go in and scoop her out. And she's just like,
Mhm.
hey, what's up? What are
Yeah.
you?
And she's the one that had the eggs that you maternally incubated, right?
Yeah, she was
That's
our
awesome.
maternally incubated clutch last season. So that was a really cool experience. Definitely nerve-wracking because it was the first clutch that I had ever done. But yeah, I was really, obviously it turned hindsight. I'm like, why was I so stressed out? I was like, oh, because I didn't know it was all going to be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really, really amazing process to experience with her, like something to kind of go through with her.
Heck
Yeah, that's really cool. I think a lot of people are nervous about maternal incubation, especially I feel like I don't want to say more of like the morph breeder side of things, but like people who are like, okay, I need to make sure that I monitor every little thing to make sure I get as many babies as I can out of the clutch and that sort of thing. But with the maternal incubation, it's you kind of got to let go of the reins a little bit and just trust that the female's going to do what she's evolved to do,
Yeah, is trust the process, right? Because it's like my mind, I'm like, I have never paired snakes before. I've never bred snakes before. I trust this animal who's been doing it for millions and millions of years to do it better than I can. Because like I just trusted her to do it better than I could have. I think she did, honestly. Like she laid 30 eggs, 23 of them hatched out perfectly. Didn't have to cut any eggs,
That's
nothing.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool. And how long roughly for days did they incubate for?
They incubated for 83, I want to say, because I remember I texted Garrett Hurdle on day 81 or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, nothing's happening. What do I do? Like panicking. And he was like, calm down. Let it do its thing. They look fine. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Luckily I only had
interesting.
Yeah. So it was right around day 83 was when the first pips started. And then we actually let everything happen as naturally as possible. So let them leave the nest on their terms. Because she stayed with the clutch until day like 88 or 89, I want to say. And then at that point, everyone had left the nest. We pulled her out, gave her a bath, weighed her. That was crazy. She'd lost almost half of her body weight.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, she was 30. No, she was 40. Sorry, 40 pounds right before she laid. And then when we weighed her, she lost over half. She was 19 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
wild.
She looked like a scrub python when she came off those. I was like, girl, that's some dedication. Like, and she ate a couple meals when she was like towards the end of her incubation. Yeah. So she actually accepted a couple meals, which was also cool because I'm like, how are you gonna work this? Like getting to know that but she was such a mindful Like she's so mindful about where the clutch was, and like literally came and got her food from one side and then took it around the clutch and ate on the other side. Like didn't get anything on it. It's like, huh. All right.
That's
Fascinating.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's super interesting.
It makes you wonder because, like, I think that when they're eating, their body temperature can increase a little bit to help with digestion, and I wonder if how that impacts the eggs and incubation and all that jazz.
I don't know. I mean, she did a really good job. Like she would loosen her coils or tighten her coils based on what the eggs need. I actually got the chance because she was so good with me while she was on the eggs. She would accept water when I offered it to her. She actually let me like touch her and interact with her while she was on her eggs, which blew my mind. Okay.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
And like to the point, I was actually able to slip a little Govee hygrometer thermometer, like
cool.
into the clutch, and just to kind of monitor from the inside, like what is going on? Because like I temp her and she's one temperature, but I'm like, is that what is actually, on
the
happening
inside the coils?
Yeah. But there was actually a pretty decent temperature fluctuation across the 2 weeks that the Govee was in the clutch with her. They would go down. She would let them get as cool as like 86 and then bring it back up to like, I want to say 88, 89 was the highest that she would get them. She would temp around like 91 sometimes. But yeah, it was really interesting. I'm like, oh. Yeah. And it's like they didn't have any problem developing or hatching or anything like that. It was really cool, interesting information to get, because I think sometimes when we're artificially incubating, it's like must be exactly this temperature, must be exactly this humidity. I'm like, she let the temps flux and kept the humidity at like almost 100% the entire time. So it was just really, really fascinating information to gather, like data to gather. Be like, huh, I wonder what would the mom do versus what I would do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's an interesting piece of information as far as the artificial incubation, and really realizing that, because we always talk about it, you can't replicate nature. It's really hard to replicate nature in captivity. And we're so stringent on, especially when it comes to incubation, like you've got to be like, you can be within this range of temperatures, but once you've locked in a temperature, you need to make sure it stays at that temperature, whatever you've decided it to be. And, if you think about it, general common sense would tell you, well, that's probably damn near impossible outside.
Right. In the wild. Yeah. And I mean, her clutch looked pretty rough towards the end. Like there was, the eggs that didn't develop had some mold on them. She had gone through 2 different shed cycles while on the clutch. And the first one she went through, she shed and got like her eye caps and like her face shed, but would not leave the clutch for another like week or 2 to get the shed entirely off. So there was like loose sheds kind of stuck around the eggs, and it like did not phase them at all. So I'm like, interesting. Yeah, nature is not clean and sanitary.
No, not at all.
And she was in a bioactive, so there's also like springtails in her lay nest that we made for her to help kind of mitigate mold. But it was all, very as natural as you can do it when you're doing it in a PVC box, right? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I think a lot of people are hesitant for the bioactive to leave eggs inside the enclosures, because I've heard that people saying that like if you have a high population of isopods that they can go after eggs, but I think it's mostly associated with like geckos and smaller egg things. So I wonder if it makes me think of like, oh, if you're able to do larger species of eggs in there, then like maybe it's not as big of a risk as people are assuming that it is.
Yeah, and I don't have an answer for the isopod thing. I've heard that isopods at least for the bigger eggs generally won't like bite into them unless they're already in decay. But Stella actually, we installed a lay nest for her up on her top basking shelf.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any isopods up there, and like she laid in it, which was yay. So the isopods didn't have access to the eggs, so I don't have a definitive answer on whether or not they would eat them. The springtails obviously don't, because they're too tiny, but but
that is very interesting. Yeah, we did 2 was it 1 or 2 clutch? I think trying to know. I know we did at least 1 clutch of maternal incubation while I was at
Mhm.
Nerd.
That big golden
And
child.
yeah,
I
and
watched a video of Kevin like sitting with one of them while he was looking at the eggs while they were pipping, and they had done maternal incubation. with
it
her.
was messy at the end. Like it just the eggs looked beat up, the paper's all shredded underneath, and it's like, we had put some moss in there to help with the humidity and everything. It's like, it doesn't look as good as pulling them out of a nest box, but the babies all came out really healthy, and I think we had almost 100% hatch rate on that, if not
I
like
think so.
95% hatch rate.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a higher success percentage than I had anticipated when we decided to do it. And I mean, and that was also a bigger snake. I forgot how many babies that was, but it was a bigger animal for sure.
37, or I think it was around 37.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, it was definitely a lot. So I was impressed by that, and especially in conditions that are even less natural, having it on paper, having to throw the addition of extra medium in there to try to mitigate the dryness that's just naturally going to happen in a drier environment. So yeah, it's interesting to see for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm glad that people can see that it can be done, and you can do it in a bioactive enclosure. I think that will be like huge for a lot of people to see that, it can be done, because I think some people are so hesitant to step outside of the box of the way that we conventionally do things, with the fear that maybe it won't be successful. And it's like, actually, you can still be successful when you do things a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Yeah, I feel like if you can facilitate what they need, then they kind of take care of the rest.
Yeah.
So it's I think our human brains tend to make it much more complicated than it necessarily needs to be, because humans have that. We're complex beings, so we must make everything complicated. It's like, it's like, hold on, why am I trying so hard? This is not need to be
right.
great crazy thing with all these moving parts. Like, nope, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Literally.
that's very true. It's very true. Yeah. Yeah. I love that too. Like the understand, once you come to that understanding of like nature is not clean and pristine and wonderful and shiny. It's like, no, it's okay. It's all right to be a little gross. It's gonna
like,
be okay.
Thinking about even like the recreation of life in general, it's messy. Like there's nothing about that that's like clean and sanitary. Like, you literally have to not be that in order to create life, right? Like it just
right.
Yeah.
No,
basically,
absolutely. Yeah.
So you did the babies like communally, right? For a setup?
So we attempted to. We did 2 babies to each 2x2 bioactive cube. When we had them communal when they were still in their egg skin, because that just made more sense. And then we moved them 2 to each 2x2 enclosure and trial fed some of them, and then realized you all have retic food drive, so we're going to give you all your own 2x2 suites. So I think had I been able to just like keep them all in a huge like 12x4x2 bioactive, like what they had hatched into, they probably would have been fine communally for a while. But just for my own peace of mind, I'm like, let's not accidentally experience cannibalistic behavior. Everyone save and separate you. So
for real.
Yeah, and we had 24 bios set up, so we had 23 babies hatched. So it's like, all right,
wow,
perfect number. So they each got their own little bio suite. That's what I started calling them. Yeah,
the bio suite. I love that. The bio suite. Yeah.
It sounds like you're going on a vacation in Costa Rica. You're in the bio suite over here,
right?
Little hot tub overlooking the forest.
Yeah,
that. The bio suite. Oh, I was just saying that we saw recently at an expo there was some snakes set up, and they had a cannibalism event at the expo.
Oh no! Oh,
The
that's so
most
sad.
unexpecting
Yeah.
situation ever. Like,
Oh
I don't
no!
care if he gets mad, he can get mad at me about it, and we're talking about it because it was ridiculous. So I won't name names because that's unnecessary.
Okay,
But
I
even
thought you were
then,
gonna
like,
name some names right now.
no, I'm not going to name names. But either way, it doesn't freaking matter because everybody does stuff like this. So if you have a show display, snakes about the same size that are typically not anything you would worry about being cannibalistic, i.e., most python species, especially when they're in a situation where they're going to be colder than normal, that food drive isn't necessarily there. Well, I was called outside by our wonderful friend Limey to just chat. And he was like, so, so-and-so down there. And I was like, yeah. He's like, he just had a blood python cannibalize another blood python that it was in with. And I was like, there's no way, dude. Like, you're pulling my leg, man. You're pulling
And
my leg. And
not
he's
a
like,
baby.
no, not a baby. We're talking like a decently sized, like has been very well started, you know. So I was like,
Probably
there's no
yearling.
way. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. And he's like, I go down to his table and check it out. So I go down to his table and I was like, well, Limey says I have to see something because I wouldn't believe it if I didn't see it. And he didn't want to move the animal for fear of it regurging and causing more damage to be done. But so he had like a bag draped over it, and he lifts the bag up, and sure enough, there is probably a 2 or 300 gram blood python that is swollen from rib to rib with another only slightly smaller blood python
Oh
inside of
my
it.
gosh!
And I think it's the only time I've ever heard of Bronger's Mai being cannibalistic.
Oh, I've never seen that
Like,
before.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's the only time that I've ever witnessed anything like that. But I did not believe it at all. At
Well,
all.
you see it.
Dude, I saw it and I still don't believe it.
Yeah, I wonder if that happens in the wild ever. Like, it'd be so hard to track that behavior
Yeah.
in the wild with that specific.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. I mean, apparently they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it can be
given
done.
the right
Here's-
situation.
Right.
Yeah. My
Oh,
baby
Yeah.
Borneos, I actually set up communally and fed to get them started communally this year. And I did not think that was a possibility. So I'm glad that I've now since separated all of them.
Yeah, right.
Because for the first like 8 feedings, I fed them all together.
oh,
Yeah.
well, luckily you didn't have any issue.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, right.
Knock on wood here.
Yeah, I know several scrub python breeders that will communal keep the babies
Yeah.
for the first like year. So yeah, and like they don't. I mean, Grant, like my scrub, as cranky as it's always like defensive behavior. I've never gotten a food mode response from him ever.
Oh no. Yeah.
They're just like they're too busy judging you to be interested in. They already know you're not food. They're like,
Yeah.
bitch, I'm smart. I know you're not food. I'm just mad at your existence. Like, okay.
That's basically how it goes. They have such a high acuity for when food is present and when it's not present. But let me tell you, if there is rodents thawing in the room, I have like 2 of them that if I tried to go handle them when there's rodents in the room, they probably would bite me. But any other time, they don't ever come at me like there might be food. Where like some of the retics I've worked with, it doesn't matter whether there's rodents in the food room or not. There is everything's food, right? Snake hooks are food. The side of the bin is food. Like,
oh my gosh, retics are fun to feed though because they're so stupid. They're so food dumb. It's like literally like, what are you doing? How do people think you're scary? You have zero aim.
Exactly. All levels of intelligence have left the building.
Exactly.
Not even the room. The entire building.
Vacation. They're in Costa Rica right now, and you're in Pennsylvania. You have no clue what's going on.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oof. Oof.
My boas are like, they 9.9 times out of 10 do not miss. So they're like my more intimidating animals to feed, because they like freeze and then you don't know when they're going to strike. And when they do, holy crap, they hit so hard.
They hit so hard. Yeah.
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 And they don't
I
miss.
think, right. I think any time I've ever experienced a boa bite, it has been an incredibly shocking experience just from that, in comparison to others where you can kind of get a read and be like, oh man, I messed this up. Like the boas sometimes they're just on you and you're just like, what the hell? Like, I didn't know any of this was going on.
I got nailed by our 9-foot girl, our 9-foot retic, not boa, thank God. Our 9-foot retic in a feeding response, because I was worried it was going to be turning into a cannibalistic situation with the male she was in. So I literally was like, if you strike him, he gonna die. If you strike me, I'm not gonna die. But she punches with her face. Like, of course you're the one to nail me, because you literally punch your feeders with your face and then wrap. But even with that, I still think getting nailed by like my 6-foot boa male would be worse, because they're so strong. They're so strong.
Yeah. They're like their muscle structure is so much tighter than a reticulated python is. Like, don't get me wrong, retics are strong and everything, but if you look at the muscle structure of boas, especially like BIs and the BCs, it's just tight. It's like a bodybuilder, right? It's just like so strong.
Really is.
For what? For what reason? They don't need all that muscle.
For what reason? Yeah. Meanwhile, the retics are the ones that have to be able to like take down small deer and things like that. You know, yeah.
And they're the derpy, not so strong ones.
Yeah, exactly. Way
to
go.
Nature doesn't always have to make a whole lot of sense. So
this is true. This is 100% true. I have one funny boa bite story that has to do with Kevin.
Rob already. Wait, is this when Kevin got bit in the face?
No.
Okay.
No, that's a good story though.
But that is a good story. Yeah. No, this is Kev and I were at Pete Call's place, and ironically with another friend of theirs named Kevin. And I was talking to not McCurley, and we were watching Kevin just staring at boas, and he had opened up a rack, and as he did, the other Kevin and I called McCurley to look in our direction, and he, because of the squirrel ADHD that he does possess, looked over at us while simultaneously finishing opening that enclosure. So this 8-foot female boa came right up out of a rack and grabbed Kevin's hand so fast. Yeah. We didn't know what was going on, and all Kevin could do was just go, "Oh!" Like that was the only reaction that was possible in that moment. And then we being me and not McCurley continued on this moment, laughing hysterically at McCurley, who never gets bitten by anything, because he's Mr. I know everything and I can read every animal. Slowly walk over to a sink with an 8-foot boa attached to his hand for us to get it off of him. And when we finally got it off, he was like, you know, I got to admit that that wasn't fun.
I call shenanigans. You two set him up.
Yes.
100%. 100%. There definitely was a time for me with my experience with Kevin where it's like I've always looked up to the man, and then, you know, the older I got, more I got to know him, then working with the man, there's a little bit of that like awe that goes away because you see him every day. And you're just kind of like, okay, I kind of know how you act and how you work with the animals and all this stuff. So to have a moment to get the upper hand on the man,
not a big one, just a little,
not a big, you know, just an 8-foot an 8-foot lead on the man, if you will.
He's
Oh.
still a human. He still bleeds blood.
He is human, just like
Yeah.
me.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh my gosh. That being said, folks, if you have boas, don't get bit by them. It's not a fun experience.
It's not
just-
fun.
Just
Yeah,
avoid
it's not
it.
fun.
Yeah, and they can be more difficult to read body
yeah.
language wise. Like the
Just their
retics,
eyes that move.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the boas are the poker players. Retics are going to lose every hand because they
Yeah. That's perfect.
everything's
Yeah.
on the table. Which is one of the reasons I love them so much, and actually do find them pretty darn easy to work with, even if they are being a little, wonky or something. Because they tell you. Same with the scrubs. I feel like the scrubs are really good about letting you know, like, where they're at with you. So I feel like that makes it so much. As long as you're paying attention, it takes the risk factor down a lot
Mm-hmm.
in terms
100%.
of like getting bit. So
Absolutely. Yeah. If people are paying attention to pythons, most of the time they give you so much room to not get bit, or at least you'll see it coming. It's not going to come out of nowhere. And boas, a lot of them, it's like, oh, everything's cool. Everything's cool. God, I got you. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yep.
Why?
Right. Oh, we experienced that plenty of times with working with the anacondas. Like they're
Anaconda and Brazilian rainbow boas.
yeah, like just really good at being like, yeah, we're friends.
We're cool.
Until now.
Good.
luring you into a false sense of security. So would that make
That's
him
exactly
really
what
smart,
happens.
though, wouldn't it?
Yes,
Maybe.
sure.
Like, I played you, human.
Yeah,
I got mine.
They did. They done got me.
Yeah,
my God.
100%. 100%.
So, are there any species that you have on your horizon of like, oh man, I really got to get one of those?
Not at the moment. Like, I have all of the like dream animals that I've had. I have those, which I'm very fortunate. And granted, I don't have a super like broad spectrum of all of these different species that I want to keep and care for. I don't have any colubrids. I would love to, dabble in that species maybe a little bit, just because, like, I don't know. I think king snakes, I feel, are so underrated. They're so beautiful and they're so just fun to keep. Like, they're active and they're interactive and they're like $50. They're like so accessible.
Wait,
But-
which kind of kings that you thinking, like cow kings or like eastern chain kings or speckled king, black kings, or?
I mean, any and all. I really like Cali Kings. I think they're really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Bull steaks are another really fun one. They're so chatty. They're so
Yeah.
so vocal. And there's something about that. There was Garrett had a Afrock at his shop. I don't know if he has her anymore, but her name was Pebbles, because of course it was. And I remember working with her a couple of times at ROR, and she was so funny because she would like do the very stereotypical Afrock, like hiss and like talk at you, but like you literally had to hold her like she was a baby, and then she'd be fine. She's like, okay, my body's all supported, and she was totally happy. But as soon as like you would try and move, she'd like hiss again and let you know. She would never strike, never, not once. But she would just vocalize, like, and I think it was just because she wasn't feeling supported. I was like, all right, well, that's easy enough. Or spoiled, but yeah, it's very funny.
It's very true. It's interesting too, because a lot of the bigger snake species, certainly Afroks, get a lot of the attention because of it. But they tell you when they're not feeling comfortable, with however they're being handled. And I think it, from the keeper's perspective, especially if you're working with mainland retics or even berms, like, it's very unnatural to be grabbing a larger animal and have part of it dragging on the floor while the rest of it is up and elevated and twisted. Like, you have to have a moment where you pause and think about what that probably feels like
right,
for
like,
them.
full of like, where are your lungs at? Where is your heart at? Like if I don't know, if I was being like potato sacked over and all of my pressure was on my lungs, I'd be like, yeah, I'd be like not comfortable either.
Exactly.
But if they're comfortable, like Stella hung out with someone that was our house for like hours because she pool noodled around like their waist and then just popped her head over their shoulder. And she was like happy as a clam, just hanging out for like 2 hours. So it's like, all right, had she just been like potato sack, she probably wouldn't have stayed there for 2 seconds. But it's just, again, it just goes back to like, they'll tell you, they'll communicate with you what is feeling okay and what doesn't.
Yeah.
You just got to respond to it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just think that they know better, and so they have bad experiences. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and been like, "Bloods and short tails are really horrible and awful," and I'm like, "They're really not, though. Like, if you just like hold them, like support their weight, they're a heavy-bodied snake, so you got to just like support them, just like cradle them, and they do.
Yeah,
really
they're
great.
you have to hold them like a baby snake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I watch them pick one up and they immediately flip it on its back and the thing pisses all over the place. I'm like, oh, that's why you don't know how to hold it. You just you assume it's like a ball python and you can just like hold it like a baseball, and it's like they're not a baseball, man.
Yeah, they're really not. And like even like retics to boas, working with them is very different. Or retics to scrubs, like how I work with them and interact with them is very different. My boas, I have to, like, if they want to come out or if I want to lift them out, I literally just lift them out and plop them over my shoulder. Like that's just, and then they're totally fine. If I try and like be like super cautious and like hold them out this way, then they're like, what the heck, human, what is happening? And they get all squirrely. But if it's just support, then they're just totally fine.
Then they're chill, yeah.
My scrub would not do that.
Not at all.
He's getting better, but he's definitely a little bit more. They're just so visually attuned, which fascinates me. They notice everything. I just feel like they're next level when it comes to like visual acuity and their hearing. Because I swear, like he'll hear my husband open the door to the stairs and literally like posture at him.
Do it.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, what is happening right now? It's just really fascinating. That's what drew me to scrubs in the first place. It's just they're on a different level. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of king cobras, honestly. Just like because kings are constantly watching what's going on, and they go about things a little bit differently. They have an air about them where like they know that they're badasses. Like they don't, every now and again you get one that's like a little bit more squirrely, but like most kings that I've worked with know that they're the top of the pack, and that if anyone wants to mess with them, they're really going to have to deal with a handful. So,
that's my husband right there. Yeah, so he's at home. I'm not at home right now. He is taking care of the animals. But yeah, Cogs is in shed right now. Our scrub python. He's still staring. Poor hubby. My scrub is just like, I don't like you. But like every time my husband goes to try and interact with him, he'll strike at him, like as I'm holding him, and then he'll like crawl back up on me, like, okay. I'm like,
yep.
Why are you being an asshole to everyone else except
certain
for me?
Snakes, just like certain people. I'm so serious. I had a blood python. No, you're not crazy.
My one person snake, like I'm the only one he tolerates. He actually seems to enjoy like when I get him out, and once he's out, he'll like climb all over and like hang out and even curl up around my neck sometimes. But anybody else, he's just like, no.
Yep. Yeah, I had a blood python like that, but the thing was, she hated me. She was cool with everybody else. She just didn't like me.
That's the opposite of what I want.
Yeah, that is the exact opposite of what I want. The day that I got her, she bit me on the side of the face, like not a hard bite, but just like a leave me alone bite, where she just I was holding her kind of like this, and she was like 5.5, 6 foot long, and she just sprung up out of my hands and just whap right on the side of my face, caught me right above my eyebrow and like right along my jawline, and she just like hit me and then went back with her tongue sticking out. I was like, well, that sucks. I was like, maybe she just needs to chill out. Maybe she just needs to get set up. And so I set her up, and anytime I would touch her, she throwing her body all over the place, striking, flipping all over. I'm like, oh man, this is not good. And I had
I
her
got
for
one of them
several
evil
years.
ones.
Yeah, 7 peppers basically, right?
Yeah.
And so I when I moved from Maine to New Hampshire to live and work at Nerd, I had to leave some of my snakes in Maine before I could kind of coordinate when I could be able to bring them down. And so my friend Jason, who I worked with up in Maine, he was taking care of like my bloods and my short tails and stuff. And so when I went to come pick them up, I was like, hey man, like, how is that blood python? She's like awful, right? And he's like, what are you talking about? Which one? And I was like, the one that's got the stripe on her. She hates me. She pisses her. She's a nightmare to take out every time. He's like, she's great. What are you talking about? And so I was like, there's no way. That's not really like, she's been awful to me. And so there's no way that she was just chill with you. And he's like, she has never, ever given me an issue, not once. And we walked into the room from like a separate room, walked into the room where she was, and I hear boom, 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 boom up against the sides of the tub. And I was like, what the heck was that? And I go over and she is like huffing and puffing. Before I even got to the rack, she was freaking out and like flailing around in her tub.
That's
Wild.
so crazy.
So wild.
That's so crazy.
So
She did not
freaking
like
wild.
I mean, I feel that way about some people, so you know.
Yeah, right. You just hear their voice, you're like, just no.
Yeah, like fingernails on a chalkboard, and you're like, they're back.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're back. I gotta go.
Exactly.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, some people are just like that.
Fascinating. That is so crazy.
Yeah. So it is a thing. Some snakes just like certain people. I have less instances of that now. Most of my stuff is, if it's good with me, it's going to be good with other people. But I do have a couple that are like standoffish with me, but they're fine. You want to hear a good example of this, Jeremy? My Eline Garden Amazon tree boa, vicious, brutal. She like strikes at me the second I touch the tub. Strike. Use the hook. She bites the hook. Mayhem.
Dang.
Absolute chaos whenever I need to work with her. Kristen is like, I'm afraid that I'm gonna get bit by a snake. I'm gonna freak out. I was like, oh, go pick up that Amazon tree boa. She'll bite you. Trust me. Like, she bites everything.
Yeah.
Kristen
just
goes in
get
there,
it over with.
sticks her hand in there. The Amazon goes up to her and then backs right away. I was like, what is going on right now? And she just like scoops her up and so chill. Like, she's still a little tense, but no biting, no nothing. While she's holding her, she looks over at me and is striking from her hands at me. And I'm like, what did I do?
You existed, Rob. That is your problem.
Know. I am a man. I had it coming. I deserve it.
Well,
I'll
yeah, and to that point, I do think they have such a keen sense of smell. I think they can pick up on, like, some snakes are just chiller with women than they are with men. Others are more chill with men than they are with women. We had a girl, a big chunky 10-foot girl from ROR with us for a while, and she hated me. She wanted to, like, she every time I would need to like get her out to clean her, she would literally like square up, and I'm like,
why?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You really don't like me. All right. Like, it just is what it is, but it's just so fascinating. Never squared up to my husband. Like, was totally fine with any of the men that would like work with her, but just did not. I don't know if it was me specifically or women in general, but it was just really interesting. But I think there is something to that. Like pheromones and stuff. Like,
probably.
Yeah, I mean, my
you heard of that.
Sometimes I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Marking up the wrong.
Have you heard of the thing where it's been documented a couple different times, but I think it's primarily in boa constrictors, where they had taken boas and put them on women who are pregnant and like, fairly well along into their pregnancy, and the boas just go limp, and they think that it's the two heartbeats confusing them, or some sort of reaction to the woman being pregnant.
No, that's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, I've seen that documented couple different times. Who knows how accurate that actually is, because they're 30-year-old documentations, but I've seen it
Yeah.
in several different books of like, oh, that is something that happens sometimes, where they'll put some sort of constrictor on a woman and it just goes completely limp.
That's super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, huh?
There's so much we don't know.
Yes.
It's so cool.
Right.
Like there's just so much.
It's
Mhm.
true. I remember when I was younger, like naively disregarding folks that would talk about like how their animals would recognize that they're in the room, not necessarily them specifically, but the person's in the room because they are speaking. Like they walk into a room and like they say hello to their animals, and they're like, yeah, then my snakes, like they poke out their heads and whatever. And I'm like, because you open the door, it's not because you're talking. Like, what are you doing? And realizing later, like, especially the more I got involved in music and sound and doing all that stuff, it was like, actually, no, there are certain vibrational frequencies that would make sense that these animals can understand and pick up on and stuff. And like, I remember before we had left Nerd, like we were like looking at some of the rattlesnakes, and
Yep, I
Rob, you
did
had
that. Posted a
filmed that
video
video.
on TikTok.
Yeah, where it's like you talk and that thing just starts rattling like crazy. You stop talking, there's no noise in the room, tail goes silent. And it's like, all right, yeah, they're hearing it. Like there's no way about it. So you think about, going in, you've got a snake room, or you've got a pet in a very high trafficked area that you're in all the time, or it hears you talking, like it's going to get familiar with that vibrational activity and what that frequency feels like. Because those inner ear elements are still in there. So they're picking up on that.
Yeah, and they did a recent study where they discovered what hertz range snakes can hear in, or that hertz vibration that they pick up, and human voices are right in that range. So they can hear us. It has been scientifically proven. Like, no, they can hear us. Maybe they probably obviously can't like understand the words, but they absolutely pick up on those vibrations. So I do the same thing. I like talk to my animals. I don't hook train anyone. I have a little bit of a different approach, but voice like recognition is one of the things I've been playing around with, and it's really interesting to see what happens.
Right. Oh, yeah. Our buddy Sean here in the chat says, I can confirm weird behavior with our snakes with my significant other during pregnancy. Tripped us out. That's super interesting. That is super, super interesting. Also, shout out for that Amazon tree boa in your profile picture.
Wait, Jeremy, you like Amazon tree boas?
Yeah, they're kind of cool.
Weird. I had no idea. Oh man, that baby in shed that you shared. What was her name?
Did you share Christine, that red one? Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, she's gorgeous.
She is freaking so red. So I took that video yesterday, and I was expecting to go downstairs today and see that she had shed, and she hasn't. So I'm expecting it tomorrow, because she's like right at that point where like the eyes are totally clear and you can kind of see parts where it's starting to kind of come off. But I was like, I can't wait to share this. Like, I'm sharing it now. I don't care that you're in shed, because even in this amount of shed, like, you are still ridiculous. Yeah, that snake blows my freaking mind. Amazons, man, they're kind of cool.
They're really the red, what is it? The red calicos? Is that what they're called? Those are mind blowing. Like that would be a smaller arboreal species I would definitely be into checking out more, because they're just little chaos spaghettis. They're amazing, and they don't get very big.
They don't get super big, and I can tell you they can be kind of ding-dongy for sure. But if you get your hands on a solid captive produced animal, and the experience that I have had with numerous captive bred animals versus numerous imports, they're like two different animals. There's something about that level of confidence. I mean, of course, you can certainly say that across the board with most imports versus captives of various species, but when the vast majority of what you see or hear people experience is from imports, because that's what's most commonly available to the public. That's all you hear is like, they just bite, they're freaking reactive as hell, they're freaking ridiculous. And I'm like, I can go into every captive bred enclosure and go right in and pick them up, with the exception of one. There's always got to be one.
There's always one.
But
There's always one.
and I specifically named her Bloodletter, like the video game sword, because she literally wants to murder me and draw blood every time I go in that enclosure. But every other captive animal that I have, I can literally go right in, pick it up, mess with it. I can even move my hand in front of its face, and it is at least 50 times less reactive than an import of the same size, like similar size and all that stuff. And it's amazing. And it really, it excites me, because like that's the side of Amazons you don't ever see, or nobody really dives in and talks about. So it's like, no, look, this can be a tractable animal. It can actually be really cool. You just have to figure out what the hell you're doing and stop buying those $50 imports that are on death's door.
Yeah, I think it's definitely generally, I don't want to say a fault, but something that is going wonky in either the caretaking or how the interaction is happening with the animal, not necessarily the animal just being crazy or aggressive or whatever. It's like, I mean, like kind of circling back to scrub behavior, and Rob would know this better than I would, but I always wonder, like, there's not a ton of like generational captive bred scrubs out there, at least not yet. And a part of me is like, oh, but the ones that aren't are so in tune with their surroundings and so cool to work with. Like, I hope they don't lose that acuity as they get more and more captive bred.
Right.
But yeah, it's just really, it is really fascinating to see the difference between captive and import.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that they would ever lose that, honestly, because they like genetic memory of millions of years. I mean, I guess theoretically we could breed it out of them if we get like a couple individuals that are particularly turned off to that sort of thing, and then just breeding specifically for that. But I think that with just like the pool that we've got in general right now, I don't think that that's something that we'll see, at least not for a while, in my opinion. But
well, thank God for that.
Yeah, for real. It'd make them less interesting.
Yeah.
Like, how can we make this more like a berm? I need this to be more like a berm.
Then you don't want to scrub.
Exactly. Yeah, get a berm. What are you doing?
Right. Yeah. Like, what do you actually want? Let's break it down.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Just saying.
Rob's
Wait,
saying.
does Rob have a problem with berms? What?
No, Rob loves
Listen.
berms. They're his favorite species. They're his favorite.
Wow, that's it. We got to end the
Favorite.
episode right now.
Favorite species.
Rob just I'm cut off from all things Rob.
I'll have to send you a picture.
Right.
Yeah,
Rob is. Yeah.
I've actually never held a berm ever.
You should honestly, you should hold them, because like they're like a big piece of jello. They just like, they got nothing going on upstairs. They just kind of like are there. They're just it's like a fake snake. It's like a really big tube filled with sand. They're just there. They just exist, and they're great for educational programs because they got nothing going on. So you can just set them on the ground and kids can come up and pet them. And they're like, this is fine. Everything is fine right now. They don't have a single thought that anything could potentially be going wrong. Because I could not do that with a scrub.
Yeah, as somebody that has owned numerous berms, I can 100% confirm what Rob is saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They have their place, okay?
About them. I don't know why. Yeah.
Yeah. There are some cool morphs. I like the way that the granite berms look. They look
Mhm.
pretty cool.
Yeah, they're
And
gorgeous
I guess the
snakes.
green and stuff, but
Yeah, I think I've just been more drawn to the more interactive species.
yes, they are less
Absolutely.
interactive. I'll
Yeah.
give you that. Listen, Jeremy, you know it. You know damn well what I'm talking about.
I do. I can't say anything. I've had a handful of berms over my course of keeping, and yeah, they are there. That's
Okay, but is there any species that Rob dislikes more than berms
um,
besides hybrids?
ooh, that's tough. That is tough. Berms are up there. I I think that berms are probably right at the top of my list. Then maybe like green iguanas because of like very similar reasons. People just get green iguanas for no reason and don't realize that this thing could very seriously injure you, and
yep.
your green iguana doesn't want to be your pal. Like it's a very small percentage of green iguanas that actually will end up being tractable and nice and ones that you can hang out with. The majority of them are going to hate you and it's not going to be a pleasant experience.
That's
So I
very
think that
true.
those two are probably right up at the top. And then the other ones that I dislike is I don't really like dislike them in particular. I just think that they're overhyped, like the Atheris
Ball
hispida, the
pythons.
hairy. Not even those. I think ball pythons they deserve the hype. There's lots of cool looking ball pythons, and they're really
That's
easy
true.
for people to keep and get into, and they're interesting, and they have people can learn about genetics by getting into ball pythons. That's okay. I don't mind. I have ball pythons, so I'm not gonna hate on ball pythons. But like I think that the dragon snakes overhyped. Most overhyped snake period. They're this long and they are like half the size of a pencil. You have to keep them at like 70 degrees and damp. Like, not cool. Not cool. They're just like way overhyped. If they got 4 foot long, hell yeah, I'm down. But they are like half the size of a shoelace, and people are like, these are the coolest snakes on the planet. I'm like, they're really not, though.
Yeah, I feel like it's
They have cool
more
scales.
the inaccessibility of them that is more like
Yeah, maybe, probably. It probably
I
does
don't
play a huge role in it. We got some at Nerd, and I was like, oh great, these are gonna be a disaster. And we kept them alive. It was just a pain in the ass. It was so annoying. I'm trying to not use expletives right now, but man, those things are a pain in the ass. But
It's
those
just I'm
the
only
hairy bush
laughing
vipers
because
too.
I remember that and I remember having multiple conversations with you about that and you just being like, great, this is gonna be a disaster.
Well, I was like, here's the deal. I'm in charge of keeping these things alive. It was between me and Jake, and we're like, okay, everything we've read about these things is like, okay, they might eat worms, they might eat fish, and they probably will eat tadpoles. And so me and Jake are trying to brainstorm, okay, how can we harvest a whole shit ton of tadpoles right now? I guess we got a bin out in the next to the alligator enclosure that has some small tree frog tadpoles. So I guess we got to go grab a whole bunch of those and euthanize some so we can use them for scenting. And like, it was just like, wow, this is going to take so much more time than all the other things that I'm doing.
But they look cool, Rob.
Rob is
I will give
forever
them that.
on dragon snakes.
I didn't mean to go on a rant on dragon snakes, but oh boy.
It's okay. It's okay. I instigated it a
Well, you
little
did
bit.
it. It was delightful, Rob.
I think that's one of my
Ugh.
favorite things with Rob is like his
Get him
reactions can go
riled up
very
about something.
extreme. Right, but it can go one way or the other. It's like very riled up because you're excited, or very riled up because you're like, no, fuck this.
You fuck those stupid things, man. They don't deserve all the hype that they get. There's so many other cooler snakes.
Oh man.
If you like those, check out African file snakes. They're freaking just as cool, but they get bigger. They have cool scales. They eat other snakes. They are cool colored. Like, they're just better, okay?
Well, on this topic, Abby, are there snakes that you think are overhyped?
Yeah, what? Yeah, I want to know. What do you think is overhyped?
Scrubs. No, I'm joking.
Lies,
Oof.
lies. That is
I-
slander.
So my husband will tell you my love language is trolling.
Okay.
So I'm trolling you because I care. Geez, what is over?
Okay, I see where this is going.
I mean, I'm so of the mind that if you personally think an animal is the coolest thing ever and you've done your research and you're like really so into it, I'm gonna be the last one to try and like convince you that there's something cooler. Like if you're invested in like
Yeah.
berms that I have zero interest in, then that hey, happy for you. Like let me celebrate your joy in this thing that I have zero interest in, but I'll be very happy for you.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's kind of my thing. I think certain species speak to certain people for various reasons, and it's really none of my business after that, as long as you know how to take care of them and have done your due diligence in terms of research. Like,
Yeah.
like maybe don't get
Yeah.
like a croc monitor as your first animal, but that's just me.
I'm having flashbacks to unboxing those baby croc monitors from Indonesia.
You still have all your fingers though.
I just barely. I got bit through the bag from a baby croc, a fresh 1 week old baby croc monitor, and I bled for 2 hours straight
Oh
through
my
a bag.
God.
Yeah.
And everyone's
Yeah.
afraid of snake bites. I'm like, nope, that's not what
They're
you need
not-
to be afraid of.
Yeah, for
So
real.
much worse.
Nope.
I would much
Dude, I-
rather get bit by like my 12-foot retic than get bit like by an iguana. Like, nope.
Yes.
I can manage.
Yep.
I can manage a larger snake bite. I know how to get bit without getting lacerated, but nope. If it bites and tears,
Yeah.
that's
No
Yep.
bueno.
yeah.
Yep. I remember like helping some baby Asian water monitors hatch with Kevin, and like just getting like glommed on by like a literal 1 hour old baby, and just being like,
And
wow,
it still
that
hurts.
actually hurts. Like, what
Yeah.
the hell is going on right now? It gives you a much larger respect for the larger animals, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
For
like,
sure.
I like the larger monitors. I think they're fascinating. I think they're gorgeous. I think they're amazingly intelligent. But I don't think I would ever keep one just because those risk factors are so much higher. Like, I mean, if someone had a well-established earless monitor, I don't think I could say no. But
those ones aren't dangerous, and also they're like
I
only a
know.
little bit bigger than a leopard gecko.
they're much more chill. But yeah, like the big ones, like black throats and croc monitors, they're amazing, and I know that they are very, very trainable. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't trust my own skill level with that.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
not there. But mad props to people who do and are able to work with them well. So that's a lot of skill to back that up.
It is a lot, and I hope that people take it seriously, because man, if you haven't been bit by a decent sized monitor lizard, that shit sucks. It's fucking horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's in the same line with venomous, right? Like in PA, anyone can, like a 9-year-old could walk into a reptile expo in PA and pick up, a rhino viper and be like, "Cool, thanks, bye." Right, and I'm like,
Scary.
Yeah, I'm like, no, because I get asked all the time, like, "Oh, would you ever do venomous?" I'm like, nope. I know myself too well. Nope. I would not keep them as responsibly as they need to be kept. So, like, nope. I like hands-on interactive animals, and you can't do that with venomous, not responsibly. So, nope.
Yeah.
Hard no.
The risk reward is too lopsided on that one.
Yeah, talk about mitigating risk. It's like, it's too much.
Yep,
That's
absolutely.
That's fair.
I think that's the other important consideration, though, in terms of like favorite species or dream species or whatnot, is really having an honest conversation with yourself of like, do I possess the skill set necessary to care for this animal responsibly?
To do right by it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
I
by
feel
the
like
hobby, too.
right. I feel like that is a question that most people don't have with themselves in general. And you know, because no, you get it stuck in your head like, oh, I really like this, I want this, I want this, I want this, and it's real easy to get lost in that space, especially if it is something that maybe more readily available, but still like that next level of challenge as a keeper. And if you're not willing to also have that conversation with yourself of like, hey, can I actually provide for this? Like, it's awesome, it's a badass whatever it is, you know, but
Yeah.
is it gonna end up being a bad experience for me and the animal because I don't have X, Y, and Z figured out or planned out or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, chewing
Mhm.
your food all the way and letting it digest for a while is a good good approach. It's like, but yeah, you do get kind of stuck in that seeing it through the positive lens, like all the good things. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, there's always going to be some cons on the other side, and if you're not willing
Yep.
to acknowledge that those exist, then you might want to take some time to think about that and like really let that process before you make a decision. Because I mean, you get an animal and it turns out to be all the cons that you didn't account for or like didn't think really mattered. And all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, now what? It's like, well, now you got yourself into a little bit of trouble. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
figure it out.
That's so true. It's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, I wish that more people took like that honest look at like, hey, can I really provide for this animal for the rest of us? Like, can I really, is this animal really going to fit into how I like to live my life and that sort of thing? Because like, there's so many species that are really cool and everything, but they're not right for people. I can't tell you how many people like message me and they're like, hey man, I saw a scrub python, I thought they're really beautiful and I want to get one. And I'm like, just wait before you go buy one. Like, what do you like about them? Do you like that they're pretty and have contrast? Because there's lots of cool snakes that are pretty and have contrast that also don't get quite as big or might fit kind of into how you like to do your keeping and all that sort of stuff. If you do a little bit more looking into them and scrubs really are something that you want, then you should get one. But also know that there's a lot that goes into keeping them and enjoying them and all that sort of stuff.
It's so true.
Yeah, if you want a movie watching snake, that ain't gonna be
Yeah,
it.
not a
Here's
scrub.
your ball
No.
python.
You will very quickly be put into the horror movie, okay? If I try to be in a dark room while holding one of my scrubs, I'm going to bleed. I know it.
Yeah, because I've had people like contact me for like one of Stella's and Aries babies, and I've like talked them out of it because I was like, okay, cool, what are you looking for? And they'll tell me, I'm like, you're not looking for one, at least not one of these retic babies, because they are high maintenance.
Yeah.
Like they want to interact, they want to get out, they want to like they move all the time. They will not sit on the couch and watch a movie with you. Like get a boa or get a ball python. Like,
Yeah, get a ball python.
yeah, ball pythons will curl up and chill. Like my boas will be like really great study buddies.
Mm-hmm.
They'll like curl up on my desk or on my shoulders and stay there for hours. But like my retics, they're trouble child. So I'm like, I have to go make sure that they're not getting it. Like, they're supposed to every 5 minutes. So
Right.
Because they will be.
Because they will be.
They're shenanigan species for sure.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many people have messaged me looking for scrubs, and I'm like, go talk to Steven Kush. I'm not selling any scrub. Like, just no, not at least not right now. No.
Yep. The number of times.
Yes,
Right.
all the Janet babies are mine.
Right. The number of times I had people hit me up about Rob's scrub pythons. Like, do you think Rob's gonna let any of those go? I'm like, have you talked to Rob? No, he's not gonna let any go.
No, he's not gonna let any go.
Don't bother asking. It's gonna be
Yeah,
no.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, now if you throw $5,000 in Rob's face, maybe
I might be, influenced. I know people who are influencers online, and I can be influenced by things.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I actually did sell one baby scrub, and I have one more that I could let go, but I really don't want to post it, so I just have been feeding it.
You should mess around and post it and be like thinking about selling this one, and then send me a picture of it, and I'll post it on mine and be like,
Oh,
thanks,
no.
Rob. Super happy about this. And people lose their
Sold.
freaking mind.
Sold immediately.
Right.
That's too funny.
That would be good.
Do you see it? Lisa asked, "Are Wagler's Pit Vipers overhyped?" I don't think so. I think that Wagler's Pit Vipers are underhyped, and I am very biased because I love Wagler's Pit Vipers. They are ding dongs. They are idiots. They are not smart snakes at all. But man, that's a cool looking snake. Top 5 coolest looking snakes on the planet to me.
Heck
I just
yeah.
love them. Their heads are so just like giant and boofy.
It's
I don't
true.
know.
Yeah.
But it also depends because there's like the male wagglers are not particularly anything to look at. The females can be anywhere from like the light green and yellow where it's like, okay, that's a cool looking snake, to the black ones where it's like black, green, yellow, and white stripes. Those things are phenomenal and like the coolest, just so
Hell yeah.
freaking cool. But I like them. I don't know. I don't know if I'd say they're overhyped because I feel like a lot of people are very hesitant about them. They are another one of those snakes where it's hard to keep them alive a long time in captivity. I think that they really need misting systems or something on them for them to thrive and do well. I think that's one of the things that might be missing. But what do I know? I don't keep them, so
You just know
I will get some.
they're cute. They're stupid.
Yes. I know enough people who do keep them that I'm like, okay, those things are freaking cool. They're dummies, but they're cool.
That's funny.
Basically, you know.
I'm here for it. I am here.
Okay, well, we've run a little bit over time, but we do have one question
yes.
that we ask all of our guests before we wrap up recording for the evening. And that one question is, in the realm of reptiles, whether it be something that you're doing or something that you've seen online or heard of locally or anything like that, under the greater umbrella of reptiles, what is something that has you excited about reptiles right now?
I'm like a behavior junkie in terms of
Oh, yeah.
observation. And I think it's been really cool. More and more people have been kind of dabbling with target training and kind of pushing the envelope on the cognitive abilities of snakes. And I think that's fascinating that more people are kind of being open-minded about, well, maybe we don't know everything about these animals. So maybe we've just been approaching it in a way that doesn't work for them. So kind of exploring that process has been really cool. Like Lori Tarini does like the target training and stuff. And I think that's just really fascinating to watch the animals make those connections. And it kind of throws my human brain off. Like, hold up. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe humans aren't as smart as we thought, because maybe we just have been approaching it wrong the entire time.
Yeah.
And all the snakes are like, y'all think we're dumb and we just have you trained to come feed us every 2 weeks. It's fantastic. Like, it's just that is really cool. That's been a really cool kind of development over the last couple of years. So yeah, I want to try target training my scrub because he's just so visual. Cool. I'm just worried. My one hesitancy is like, okay, if I use a certain color target, can I never wear that color? I
He's gonna come right up and bump you just every time.
Right. Like, oh, let me train you to have a food response.
Yeah.
You already know. So yeah. That's got me pretty hyped. This isn't reptile related, but I did recently see a video on Instagram of a dog that was taking himself sledding. That made me very, very happy. He literally
that's cool.
Pulled the sled up the hill, hopped in the sled, slid down, and then we just do it over and over again. I'm like,
Hey man, if my pets can entertain themselves, I'm all for it,
Even
man.
better.
Yeah, it's like my retic's banister sliding. Like I'll be tapping away
Mhm.
with free roaming, and I'll just hear it go shh, and then like 5 minutes later, I hear it again. I'm like, what are you doing? Just climbing up, sliding down, climbing up. Okay,
Like, this is our jungle gym, okay? Let us
Right.
enjoy life a little bit.
cardio in, man. Let's go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Did you see the video of the indigo where they put its food like fish pieces underneath like a puzzle kind of thing where it
Yes.
had to push
Oh my
different
God.
levers to get the food underneath?
No.
It was like scary fast at it.
It was really fast.
That helped faster than my dog would. What
Yeah.
is- Holy crap. Indigos are
Yeah.
smart though. Like they're
Yes.
but I've also seen that done with a
Mhm.
king Mexican Black King too when MPK.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen that one yet. That's cool.
It's so
That's super
fascinating.
cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Right.
Things
Hmm.
that make you go,
Yeah, literally.
Makes your head cock a little. You're like,
Yeah, just
what's
hmm.
okay? Like if you're already terrified of snakes, like knowing all of this stuff would just make you more scary. Like, oh crap.
Yeah,
they're
you're like,
smart.
oh,
Wait,
they're
they can
learning.
open doors?
They're
They can
learning.
open doors.
This is my nightmare. I did recently. My retics have almost gotten the door open a couple different times.
Oh boy.
I did see another retic that figured out how to open a door, and he would just like he just learned how to do it, and was like, "Cool, there's more stuff to explore out here." So,
Oh, God.
Oh my god.
And that's the worst because once they know, it stays
Oh yeah,
in
they
their
just go right
brain
to it.
and they keep going back to it. That's
Yes,
the
'cause they're
absolute
so
freaking
directionally
worst.
stubborn. They're so it's like, nope, I want to go this way. Can you go this way? Nope, I want to go.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
You're like, what's over there? I don't know, but I need to find out.
Yes.
Usually lots of spider webs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Exactly.
It's just a face full. I'm like, what?
Exactly.
Bro.
Oh,
My
God.
female Halmahera has figured out that if I don't latch all of the latches on the door, she can push the corner out and get out. She's done it twice now. And I'm like, okay, I got to really be sure that I'm doing every single latch on the door because she's done it twice. What? And both times it's like while I'm sleeping, I wake up and there's like a scrub crawling across my room. I'm like, God damn it.
Did it again.
Yeah. And it's like I woke
Uh.
up out of a dead sleep and I'm like, why am I awake right now? And then I hear something moving and I'm like,
Rob's 6 scrubby senses kick in. There's
Right.
they tingle. They
There's a
tingle.
scrub doing something it's not supposed to do.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, love it.
Man.
That is how it goes.
You would be so
At least
bored
I
if
wake
we
up.
didn't have animals.
What would you say?
I said we would be so bored if we didn't have animals.
True. I would just be a boring person if I didn't have animals.
Yeah, same dues.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Crazy.
much for coming on this evening. If people want to find out more about you and see some of the stuff that you're working with, where should they follow you?
The curly haired keeper on all of the things. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, website. I do have a TikTok that I never use. So you can follow me on TikTok. I just never post there.
Yeah.
I forget that I have it half the time. I'm like, oh yeah, I have this thing. I should probably post on it. And then I forget and I still don't post. So,
Yeah.
Same.
yeah.
I really want to do more for TikTok next summer with like the wild snake stuff because I think that for me it's easier to record things like that than it is to look at my own snakes and be like, okay, what am I going to record today with these corn snakes right now? Instagram's easier. I just take a picture and put it up there.
This is true. Yeah. Yeah. So Rob is the TikTok guru of the three of us because I definitely am not.
100%. And he'll even tell me too, be like, dude, you got to get more on TikTok. You got to do more on TikTok. And I'm just like, I don't. I just sure.
You gotta do it.
Sure,
You gotta
Rob.
do
That's
it.
great.
They're about to ban it, so it doesn't matter, I guess, anymore.
This is also true.
That's true. True. January, right? Not
Yeah.
heard.
On my birthday.
Oh God.
When is your birthday?
The 19th, the last day of the candy corn.
Of
The
the
candy
candy corn
corn.
is ridiculous.
Capricorn, candy corn, whatever.
No, I got what you were saying. I mean, your Halloween spirit is very happy about candy corn, though. Or
Oh, it
maybe not.
is.
Do you like candy corn?
I love candy corn.
I feel like candy
I'm one
corn
of
is a
those
love
soulless
relationship, so I
people.
didn't want to assume. It's like, oh yeah, Rob must love candy corn. He hates it. It's like I hate it more than Burbs. I'm like, oh gosh.
No. I love candy corn. It holds a very deep place in my heart, okay? I used to eat so much candy corn. I had to cut back on the amount of candy corn that I eat, okay? Became a problem.
Fun facts about Rob.
Right?
Yes, things that you probably didn't know.
We're so glad we know now.
Right. You can
Yeah.
send bags of candy corn to the Reptile Talk
I
podcast,
was
P.O.
just-
Box. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I was like, oh, if we ever wind up at the same Reptile Expo together, I'm bringing Rob the biggest bag of candy corn I can
Yep.
find.
Yep. And chances are you'll be able to find it anywhere because the amount of people that genuinely dislike candy corn. So
That's me. That's me. I don't- Rob can have mine.
oh my gosh.
He's ready.
He's like, I'm gonna eat some right
Do
now.
you have like a lifetime supply already, Rob?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
It's okay. All
Define
that's just from last Halloween.
lifetime supply because
It's relative. You are right.
Oof.
The subjective amount of candy corn.
I have.
I
enough
also have a
candy corn for
lifetime
right
supply
now.
of candy corn.
Yeah, you're like, I have
You-
one piece of candy corn. That is a lifetime supply. I never want to eat that shit.
Yep, exactly.
You have the emergency bag just in case, an EMP goes off or something like that. But other than that,
Oh
that's
my
lifetime
God.
supply.
This has really gone off the rails, hasn't it? I'm thoroughly enjoying it too. We jumped from
Listen,
target
okay.
trading to candy corn.
Yep.
I don't know how I got here.
The human
just
brain
know
is
that-
really complex.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Retics earlier and their brains? What?
Got nothing in my brain.
These are the ADHD species of snakes. I feel like that's what
Mhm.
we just did.
Yes. Yep.
Only here on the Reptile Talk podcast. Brought
I'm
to you by
guilty,
Black Box
okay?
Cages and Candy Corn.
Yes.
No, but yeah, thanks so much for inviting me on. I've been listening to y'all's podcasts for a while, so was really, really thrilled to get hit up and asked to be on here. I had a blast.
Hell yeah. I'm very glad we could have you on, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Heck yeah.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. All right.
Bye.
Well, then we will
We'll
catch
catch
you all
everybody
next time. See ya.
Jeremy.
What?